We were made for hard work and not handouts. That's the title, that's the topic of today's Daily Dose. Look, we're living in a world where, for the most part, people don't want to work. I mean, check out this recent news story from just this week. It says that the Great Resignation continues. 4.4 million Americans quit their jobs last month. In February, U.S. businesses had 11.3 million job openings to fill. I mean, this is crazy stuff. This is quite unbelievable, actually. Velvet and I, we were going out the other night, it was a couple weeks ago maybe, to grab a burger, and we went to Fuddruckers. They only had 4 employees working the entire restaurant, from the cash register to the grill to the tables. I mean, 4 people in the entire. They couldn't get people to work. They had to shut the doors at 8 p.m., 2 hours early on a weekend because they couldn't keep up with the work. They didn't have enough people. We're living in a world where people don't want to work. So we have this great resignation that's happening in our country right now. But you know what else I read about? We also have something else called coasting. Coasting, C-O-A-S-T-I-N-G. This is this act of just going through the motions, working as little as possible, doing the minimum, just kind of coasting along. Coasting. And data suggests, I was reading this week, that data suggests that coasting is now widespread. There was a survey of 11,000 U.S. workers, and they found that 39% were doing just that. They were coasting. A January 2022 study by U.S. analysts, by Gallup, I believe it was, they showed that half of the employees surveyed were either disengaged or just disinterested at work. We're living in a world where people don't want to work. One of the causes behind this, I believe, is this thing called handouts. You know that we're still in the midst of these massive handouts, that all this money that was made available through the PPP program during the pandemic, they still have billions and billions of dollars left, and they're trying to give it away. And I'm just wondering, why don't they just put it back in and pay down some national debt? Or why don't they just reduce the tax burden on those who are actually doing the work? But because much of our nation has become addicted to handouts and have exchanged hard work for handouts, here we are. It's upside down. It's wrong. It's unbiblical. You know what Scripture says? Scripture says that it's better to give than to receive. It's better to be a producer than just somebody getting handouts. It also says this in Scripture, that the desire of the sluggard kills him, for his hands refuse to labor. That's Proverbs 21:5. Look, it's not going to end well for those buying into coasting and the great resignation. However, we also see this, a growing number of professing Christians falling for this socialist lie, this antichrist, socialist, anti-biblical lie of entitlement, that somehow that they're also entitled to government handouts, that somehow rich people are the enemy and that we shouldn't have to work hard to get ahead. It should just come to us. That's just part of being blessed by God. We don't have to do anything and we just continue to get taken care of like we live in Disneyland. Meanwhile, these same people are spending money like hand over fist, consuming whatever they want and wanting more. By the way, that's sin. We know that the majority of people in our country spend more than they earn. They don't save, and heaven forbid that they actually practice just some of that good old-fashioned delayed gratification. What's that? Oh my goodness, we don't do that in America. Too many feeling entitled. They support taking other people's hard-earned money, redistributing it to others, especially when some of it comes to themselves. It's like we're living in Nottingham. It's Crazyville right now. Now, we know that there are definitely people who legitimately need help. And we, not just the government, we the people of God, the church, should be there to help them. That's one thing that we're called to. Scripture calls for Christians to help the widow and the orphan, specifically those who have no ability at that moment to work or to help themselves. And those who qualify actually for this kind of handout, this kind of help, are actually few and far between. In fact, Scripture excludes even some widows who are able to work and who are able to get remarried and have a husband who can then bring in that provision instead of getting help from the church. But helping those in real need is where the church has always excelled and still excels today, helping others. I know at Evident Life Church, our church family is so generous to help others in their times of needs, and also to fully fund our benevolence program. But yet we live in a nation where people are taking advantage of the system. And instead of working, they just have their handout. They're on that old handout train. Let me give you a little secret. With more and more people choosing the Great Resignation, with more and more people choosing just to coast, more and more just looking for handouts over hard work, the opportunity for you to shine and to excel is right now. If you'll work hard and diligently, you're going to automatically stand out from the crowd. You're going to rise up. Not only will people see you're different, but God will be supernaturally blessing you in the process. Proverbs 13:4 promises this. It says, lazy people want much but get little, but those who work hard will prosper. That's a precept straight from heaven, straight from God. Those who work hard will prosper. Let's remember that hard work is not a bad thing. Actually, God gave us work, and He gave us work even before the fall, even before original sin. Work is a blessing from the Lord. It's part of why we're created. It's part of our being. It's part of being made in the image of God. Remember that God worked 6 days in creating this creation. God is a God who works, and He continues to be at work within us, and then He takes that time, that seventh day, that Sabbath, that time of rest. Look, beloved, when we do things God's way, we're going to stand out in this world. And this is also true of hard work. When we choose to work as unto the Lord, when we choose to be diligent, we will stand out and we'll be rewarded and promoted, and we will honor God in the process. And in fact, I believe that hard work is one of those good deeds that this world will see that's mentioned in 1 Peter chapter 2, verse 12, where it says, live such good lives among the pagans, that though they accuse you of doing wrong, they may see your good deeds. I'll throw in there, they may see your diligent hard work and glorify God on the day He visits us. I encourage you, see the opportunity to work as a blessing from the Lord. Don't buy into the Great Resignation. Don't buy into this lazy coasting fad that's happening right now. See your job as a provision from the Lord, as a blessing from Him. Don't fall for the lie of the enemy who would take what God meant for our good and then turn it into a burden. It's not a burden. It's a blessing. I'm going to leave you with this from Colossians chapter 2, verse 23, where it says, whatever you do, work at it with all your heart, as working for the Lord, not for human masters, since you know that you will receive an inheritance from the Lord as a reward. It is the Lord Christ you are serving. Colossians 3:23 and 24. And with that, go out, enjoy the work the Lord has given to you, and be blessed.